What's up, guys? Welcome back to my Adobe Premiere Pro tutorial channel. And we are continuing where we left off in class on our unfortunate day with this microphone activity where we couldn't get the files to everybody. Again, I apologize if that didn't work out with the airdropping, but this shouldn't be too complex to edit together, and it will provide a really great comparison and discussion for us. So you can see that I've already got Adobe Premiere Pro open in the background here. It's also got just a blank project file called microphones. This is what we should have set up in class the other day. If you're starting from scratch, we're going to walk through the process here as quickly as we can, and we can make this pretty efficient. So all we're going to do is to start, I'm going to drag all of my video clips into my project bin area in Premiere. Doesn't take very long, and we want to grab all of the interior videos and then all of the exterior videos. We're going to do two different sections of our timeline, one inside, one outside. We also noticed in class that one of these, I believe it was the good lavalier placement clip, is shot in 4K. So if you were to bring in the 4K good lavalier clip and then bring in any other clip on top of it, you'll notice that the other one shows up as a very small kind of inserted video, and it's because the sizes don't match. So I'm going to recommend the first thing you do on your timeline should not be the good LOB. It is labeled LOB, L-O-B. But that's the only thing I would probably say don't do first. Of course, we're going to start with one. I'm going to say our handheld mic inside. We'll go with our others, and we're going to stack them up as long as they're not overlapping each other. And we're going to see eventually 5 separate video and audio tracks on the timeline that all kind of get stacked up. Unfortunately, our good LOB is only about 6 seconds long. It looks like maybe we hit the record button a little too early, but that's okay. We'll be all right. Either way, we should have 5 different clips, and our first order of business is to synchronize them. The nice thing is that Premiere does have some automatic detection and synchronizing functions built in. So I'm going to select all 5 of these as long as they're not on the same tracks as each other. I'm going to right click or control click on a Mac that doesn't have a right click, and then you're going to go find the synchronize option right here. We need to tell it we're looking for it to find the audio and synchronize based on audio, and once we've selected audio, we should be able to click OK, and it should do most of the work for us. Now, you'll notice that the little 6-second clip does not seem to synchronize, and honestly, this little 6-second clip is probably not very helpful for our demonstration. So I'm going to go ahead and delete it. And then just to double check, I'm going to make sure the rest of this does line up. I can either press play and listen for any echoing, or I can look at my audio tracks right here and zoom in. I'm going to use plus on my keyboard to zoom in and just look for that spike. And if I can zoom in all the way and have those spikes within 1 frame of each other, then we're going to be okay. So if I tweak this by moving it 1 frame over and it looks closer, then that's great. I actually do want to keep them as close as they possibly can be. So we've got 4 interior scenes here, all of different microphones, and they seem to be visually synchronized. If I click play, I'll double check myself. Listening for echoes. And action.
Okay. Somebody once told me that the world is gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. She was looking kind of
right off the bat, which is wonderful. That's great. That's where we want to be. The next thing I would do, because I don't like how we have this kind of variety of sizes of our clips, I'm just going to go through each one of these. I'm going to right click and find the option for set to frame size. That way it will expand to fill our screen. I'm going to do that with every clip, just as a precaution to say nothing is going to be too small. And if I want to double check, I can hit the little eyeball to disable these tracks and make sure everything shows up properly, which now they do, which is great. So all of these just kind of show up as this big teal blob of stuff on my timeline, and that's maybe not great if we want to be able to pick and choose which one we're going to see or hear at a time. So I do like to do the colored labels just because I think it looks nice and helps me keep myself straight on what's what at a glance. So I'm going to right click on each one above the first one. I'm going to choose a different color label just so they all look different on the timeline. I think that's helpful for me and my brain. Your version of Premiere may have slightly different shades of these colors, but as long as they look different from one another, that's what we want. All right, so now we need to go about trimming out the excess and revealing only one piece of audio at a time. So I like things to kind of look clean on my timeline, so I think what I'm going to do is find the beginning of Abby's lyrics.
Somebody once told...
I'm going to go right with my blue playhead right before all of that. I'm just going to butt everything up to my blue playhead line. I'm just going to drag from the beginning of the clip, shore everything up together, and then I would want to do the same thing at the end. After I say cut, we don't need to see any of the rest of it, so I'm just going to make
shine if you don't glow.
Cut. And I say cut there, so right after Abby's finished talking, right here-ish, I'm going to butt everything up to there, get rid of all the excess stuff that I don't need to hear or see, and that looks nice and square. I'm also then going to click the gap between my clips and the beginning of my timeline, push delete on my keyboard, and now my timeline is very clean and very simple, and it's all at the beginning, so there's no extra space there. The last thing I would do for my interior shots is to go and get rid of everything but one microphone at a time. This is where my razor blade tool might come in handy. I do kind of want to hear 1 or 2 lines of dialogue from Abby per microphone, so I might just listen through and chop out everything. I'm going to make kind of a stair-step pattern as I go. So
somebody once told me that the world is going to roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the
and I think it'd be nice if we transitioned from one mic to the next in the middle of a word so we can hear a very clear change. Either way, the only thing I'm hearing here at the beginning is our handheld mic at this inside point. The same thing is going to happen on this next one. I'm going to give it a couple lines.
She was looking kind of dumb with her finger and her thumb in the shape of an L on her forehead. Well,
and I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to do the same thing with our top 2. So our Bad Lav and our Shotgun get shrunk up right here. And then I actually don't need this handheld mic to keep playing here as well. So I'm actually going to get rid of it, except for the beginning piece where I wanted to hear it. So I still don't want all these mics to play at the same time. I want to hear them distinct from one another. So same thing with this internal mic. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that extra stuff. So only one mic is played at a time. Same kind of deal here. I can probably just get rid of half of this, just eyeballing it here. And that way I do have a progression from handheld mic to internal mic to Lav Bad to Shotgun. We knew the Lav Good clip was too short, so that is not going to be present here. You could let things still look like this kind of stair-step pattern if you want to. It's not really going to affect our exported video. You could also throw these all down on one timeline if that helps you think about how everything's playing back to back, and that's great. So as we play through,
is gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. She was looking kind of dumb with her finger
we should
and
have a very seamless transition from one thing to another.
Well, the years started coming,
and we want to be able to hear them all at the same volume. So the other thing I need to check is to make sure that all of these cameras did record at the same volume. This one seems to be very quiet. This one seems to be kind of medium. If they're not all
with taking the back streets?
peaking
You'll
up
never
to
know
maybe
if
6,
you don't go.
then I want to go
He
through
once
and turn up
told
the
me that the
volume on
world
some
is
of
gonna
these if they're
roll
too quiet. So this internal mic
in the shape
looks
of
like we're
an
peaking
L
around
on her
minus
forehead.
15. I do want to turn that up, so minus 15 getting up to 6. That's about 9 decibels I want to turn up. So I'm going to find my volume bar. I'm going to turn that up somewhere around 9 decibels-ish.
Kind of dumb with her finger and her thumb in the shape of an L on her forehead.
Same thing with each of these clips. That's what I want them to be consistent in volume and ideally delivery, which I know Abby did a good job of us
Did it make sense not to?
As well. So if we do this right, we should then have a progression between our microphones.
So much to do,
Hear the
so much
difference
to
very
see.
clearly, assuming that all the volumes are good. The last thing I would want to do is label each of these clips with the correct name of the microphone. That's why we named the clips as well. So all I got to do is find my text tool right here in my toolbar. I'm going to click one time on the screen here. This is our handheld microphone clip, so I'm just going to type handheld. Make sure it's readable. I can do that editing my text here in Essential Graphics. I'm going to go ahead and make that a little bigger and bolder. Maybe add a stroke or a shadow. Actually, I like the shadows better. I'm going to make that bold. I'm going to make it a little bigger. So it's very obvious what microphone this is. I'm also going to make sure it's placed somewhere I can read it and not clashing with the background. This title should only be covering the handheld mic video clip. And I want to do that for each of these different microphones as well. So this next one is the internal mic. I would do a similar graphic for internal. All I'm going to do to speed this process up is I'm going to select my first title, hold Alt on my keyboard, and then click and drag that to the next clip. So now you see it duplicated very handily, and then I actually just want to edit this text from handheld. I will change that to be, with my text tool, I will change that to be internal mic. And I will do this for each of our clips. We're going to do this for the internal clips, and we're going to do them for the outdoor clips as well. And then as a good practice, if you have any footage that is not color corrected properly or white balanced, then you could also go into Lumetri Color in our basic tab, and you can go and white balance this. You could also go fix our exposure, which is not quite right. You can brighten this thing up and make sure we can see our subject well and not have any weird issues too. So that would be a really nice bonus. If you got some time, go ahead and fix any mistakes that there might be with this footage too. So when you're done, it'll look like this kind of stair-stepped different color thing if you've done all these steps the same way. And each of them will have a title on the top. The last thing I would do is I would make sure that there is no gap at the beginning of my timeline or between the indoor and outdoor footage, and then I would export all of this as one video clip and bring that to class on Wednesday. Go ahead and upload it to Canvas. I'll put an assignment link there for you to upload this to. So that should be enough to get you going and get this thing rolling. Make sure all of your volumes are the same. Please and thank you. Okay, real quick tag on here at the end. This is a finished timeline. If you want to see what kind of two versions of this edit could look like, if you actually went and wanted to make things real clean, maybe the slide on the left, all of this is your super clean version. Doesn't really matter how it looks on the timeline as long as when we export things look right. You can see I've got each of the mics in order on one track. We've also got a title for each to label each one of. If I scrub through, I've also gone and color corrected. All of the text is very readable, and you'll notice on the volume bar all of the levels are consistent. Up at -6, -9, as close to -6 as we can get. If you didn't clean all your kind of tracks up, which is not necessary, it might look like this section over here on the right. We've got all the titles across the top, all of these right here. And then just as a result of kind of cutting out each different microphone that we didn't need to hear, we kind of created the stair step, and it might look something like this. This is all 5, so we do have both of the lav mics here. And if I scrub through, you can see my text is readable, my levels are consistent for volume, and our white balance, color correction is all pretty much matching, and all the sizes of our video are consistent as well. The last thing I would do here is to eliminate this little gap in between our two sections, because I would just want them to play all seamless back to back. I'll just select this empty space, this gap, and hit delete. And now my timeline is ready to export. So that should be the end of our process.